The modern world until now has been a great deal of progress. The wiping out of disease, technological and industrial developments eased the world around us. It now looks like we're at a point where we can scratch another thing off the list, which we can leave in the past. That thing being boredom. On the face of it sure looks like it. We have never been more hooked up to the source of so much information. As Hannah puts it, generations have lived and died without internet to browse, TV to watch and radio to listen to. But us, in the 21st century, we are swarmed with legions of TV shows, movies and catalogues of songs all laid out for our choosing. It's reached a point where it's inexcusable to say you're bored. Our whole life is geared towards being distracted. The latest show, new YouTube video, a Facebook post, a tweet. How can any of us ever say that we're bored? Well, I'm here to argue that boredom has not gone anywhere, but the plane at which boredom exists has been transformed. Imagine this, you're getting on a train to go to Auntie Sheila's. You hop on the carriage and take your seat. 30 seconds go by and you realise you've looked at everything around you and a sense of impatience and loss of interest has started to take over your mind and body. What do? Well, you pull out your phone, of course. You open up Instagram. You start to scroll. It's the same crap you saw 2 hours ago. At the point of pulling out your phone and looking at apps and scrolling, your boredom hasn't ceased. You're just searching for that hit of something fresh which can carry your mind away. But you'll convince yourself you're doing something worthwhile and that you're not bored. But really you're just lying to yourself. Putting a veil over your boredom doesn't mean it's gone. At home, we may switch it up. I can't tell you how many times I've caught myself in a loop of going from website to website. For example, I would be on Reddit 200 posts deep, stop, go over to YouTube, scroll, find nothing but click on a video anyway. And then I'm back to Reddit with a refresh looking at the same stuff again. And then I repeat. How terrible is that? I am bored, yet I refuse to acknowledge that what I'm doing is completely unfulfilling. In the past, prior to the connection of the internet, you would very much be limited to the availability of what was ever in your home. A few DVDs that you've already watched or books that you have read. A point would come where you would turn to evaluation. You would assess your options and think of doing something that was worthwhile. Perhaps going for a walk or going to see a friend. Now there isn't that point of evaluation. That point of exhausting every avenue has gone. There's always more scrolling to do. There's always another TV series you can start. It's only when the day has gone to night that you have to call it a day, that it ends. Truly dark state of affairs. The use of technology, which has allowed for this new form of boredom, is incredibly threatening, as it seeks to strain the human spirit by way of numbing the individual of empty activities which often carry no impact no less than 5 minutes after the individual has finished their session of scrolling or whatever new concoction has been sprawled on a screen. Now the obvious answer, and the thought you might be having, is to just turn off the screen and limit the use of technology. Live in the real world. We all have a choice at the end of the day. While this is true, and I myself have borderline stopped using Instagram for example, there is a large concern that is at play, perhaps the most dangerous aspect of what is going on. That is the way in which the new refuge into technology when the feeling of boredom strikes is impacting future generations. Children at a very young age are being exposed to mobile phones and apps which are being used to comatose their minds. I've seen parents use phones as a way to distract their kids while they're being fed by putting on some random kids video. As worthwhile as it may seem to have a nice distraction so the kids are fed, the concern is the slow indoctrination at such an early age that phones, tablets, screens are a getaway. They become normalised and the child grows up thinking and using it as a crutch to escape the world rather than facing it head on. It even goes further, I'm afraid. Parents who have actively pursued ways of withdrawing their children from the world of social media are penalised by the way of isolation, as the vast majority of society is going in one way and one way only. Have a look at this Reddit post which describes this very issue. Places which were once social arenas for where children could interact are becoming void of that very aspect which is so important to having a developed social being. It states, parents that didn't allow their teenagers on social media. One of the mothers talked about how even though her daughter took after school dance classes, during breaks all the other girls were on their phones and no one was interacting face to face. This one example, as limited as it may seem, provides an insight into the prevalence of technology and its incursion into socialisation. There is a crossover occurring of using technology to escape boredom when one is alone into the interference with the natural times at which connections between human beings should be occurring. I'm sure we're all becoming aware of the powerhouse of TikTok and the damage that it's having to children and their attention spans. If the punchline isn't front and centre in the first 10 seconds, it's time to move on. Overall, boredom is alive and kicking. With the influence of technology, we are reaching new lows of human capability and conquest. A sense of complacency is blanketing many societies, reducing the public into desolate shells of human beings. Thankfully, there is some pushback. The dangers of social media and apps like Instagram are being raised, and the results of the awareness of the issues will hopefully change the ways we utilise this technology. But we must remember that the companies who spend millions on designing these algorithms, which examine and study our usage with the purpose of retaining our clicks and views, will do whatever they can do to maintain their quote-unquote control. Before I leave you, I'd like to end on a clip from the upsetting yet incredibly well-constructed movie That Is Naked. Bearing in mind that this movie was released in 1993, it nails the description of how developments in society have altered the way we think and lead to a state of boredom. I dread to think what Johnny would think about the situation today.
So what happened? Were you bored in Manchester?
Was I bored? No, I wasn't fucking bored. I'm never bored. That's the trouble with everybody. You're all so bored. You've had nature explained to you, and you're bored with it. You've had the living body explained to you, and you're bored with it. You've had the universe explained to you, and you're bored with it. So now you just want cheap thrills and, like, plenty of them, and it doesn't matter how tawdry or vacuous they are, as long as it's new, as long as it's new, as long as it flashes and fucking bleeps in 40 fucking different colours. Or whatever else you can say about me, I'm not fucking bored.
Yeah, all right.
So how's it all going for you?
It's a bit boring, actually.